Kia ora and welcome to Cultured Conversations. My name is Kirsten Lacey and I am the director at the Auckland Art Gallery, Toyo Tamaki. We've created this podcast series to bring to you ideas and issues that are at the forefront of cultural well-being here in Aotearoa and in Australia and our broader region. Specifically, we want to bring together a range of different leaders and their voices on the topics that they are addressing through their practice, through their research and through their mahi and work at the nexus of where the arts, governance, politics, practice, health and well-being all come together. It's an ambition of ours to share these cultured conversations, to give profile to their work, but also to their thinking, so as it might shape the cultural well-being of our community and contribute in that way. We really hope you enjoy the series. I'm absolutely thrilled today to be talking with Taane Mete. Taane is one of Aotearoa New Zealand's most loved, prominent and renowned dancers, choreographers and also yoga teachers. He has danced in all the major companies across the motu and has sustained a performing career for more than 4 decades, although you wouldn't believe it to look at him. His life work is grounded in mātauranga Māori and the rich cultural tapestry of Aotearoa, an artistic expression steeped in te ao Māori, and an embodied spiritual practice as a dancer, a yoga teacher, but also as a massage body worker. He really brings together in his practice a number of the healing arts. Kia ora koutou Taane, it's so good to have you here.
Kia ora, Kirsten, thank you.
I wondered if we might start perhaps even with your mihi or your whakapapa, or share with us, your story, Taane.
Kia ora. Ko takitimu ko tainui oku waka, ko tamate ariki nui ko hotoro o te tangata, ko rua wharo tōku tōhunga, ko Ngāti Kahungunu, ko Ngāti Koriki Kahukura Ngaha Pū, ko Kahurānaki ko maunga tautari ngā maunga, ko Hongarea ko te manawa nui ngā pā, ko Ngaruroro ko Waikato ngā awa, ko Tūparapare kore tōku pāpā, ko Ani Kara tōku māma, ko Taane Mete ahau. Kia ora.
Kia ora, Taane. And so for audiences outside of Aotearoa, your mihi, what are you doing when you share that with us?
Absolutely. It gives significance to the area that you're from, your mountain, your waters, your rivers, sea, significance to your whare, your house, your marae, the people, your tribe affiliation, and of course your parents and yourself last. And it's a wonderful way to share that as a way of understanding, yeah.
Thank you so much. I thought we might start our conversation with your most recent work, Marae in the Sky, your second commission for the Auckland Art Gallery for Matariki, which it feels like an age ago, but it was only a month, I think, if that, that you shared your work with audiences in the gallery over a series of performances. Why did you make this work, Taane?
I made the work really to bring many ideas together. At the moment, I'm exploring the stars of Matariki, and this year was drawing more focus towards the mother star, Matariki. And I wanted to bring together living stories that I've lived with, ancient stories from my family in the past, and more significance towards the star of Matariki. And using a framework or a gathering collaborative situation, bringing in Taisha Tari, who was our singer, and Pio Halapua, who was the violinist, and orchestrating that with a composer, Josh Clark, and costume design as well. And the reason was to bring to light stories that I've been passionate about. Marae in the Sky spoke to a time that I remember in the 90s, and being in the LGBT plus community, it was a very prominent time. There's a lot going on politically, And there was a whare in Lawn Street called Marae in the Sky, and there housed quite a political group of people who were activists and who were in the community and who were standing up for some pretty big ideas about how to stay safe and how to stay true or authentic. So that was a platform to sort of start the piece from, incorporating mātauranga Māori and of course with dance, performance, expression.
And what's the connection between Marae in the Sky and the Matariki star, the mother star?
Yes. Of course, the Matariki, the significance of our mother star is to bring connection, healing back to the whenua, our land. So her essence would be to bring protection to the earth in the time of the season, Matariki, and also bringing wellness or peace through humanity, to humanity. So I guess the connection for the story Marae in the Sky and to Matariki is this sense of wairua, a spiritual connection. And Marae in the Sky, in my head, I thought how I can bring elevation to the story. And there's an ancient story of when Taane, when after his parents, Papa Tuanuku and Ranginui, were split, he climbed the vines to move towards his father, Ranginui. And on his journey up there, he stopped off at this whare, or the first house that was ever made, and it was a marae, and it was perched in the sky. So I brought those two realms of earthly realm and ethereal realm together, weaving these stories, yeah.
And when you were performing in the gallery, there was a mother figure from your own whakapapa that appeared in the gallery spaces. What happened?
Very interesting because, I have been exploring and my own whakapapa, and whakapapa is a very interesting or incredible way of understanding and how one finds out more about one's whakapapa. And it's not something that you can just look up in a book and trace back, and it's direct. And if anything, it's quite indirect, where there may be stories of past children who perhaps were born out of wedlock or born once removed, or this family feud happened, there was this birth that happened that's kind of hushed. So it's very tricky trying to find out one's whakapapa. However, through my cousin, her and I are on the both journey, same journey, finding out about our whakapapa. She gave me a clue that led me to one of Goldie's favourite subjects. And ina te papa tahi is an image that's at the Auckland Art Gallery. And I had a sense that it was there. I didn't really know if it was. And then I went for a walk, and lo and behold, there it was in the gallery. It was a powerful connection that I had made for myself, very internal, very spiritual. But I did notice her hands. I'm quite expressive with my hands, so hands to me they're quite. Yeah, I was fixated on her fingertips and her hands and the creases and the curves and the weatheredness of them.
They're very prominent in that portrait.
They were, yeah. So I drew a lot from that specific image, and in its own way, it's found its way to the stage that afternoon.
And you danced with your hands.
I danced with my hands.
We were transfixed by it.
Right, yes, because you came to that afternoon performance. Yeah.
Something else happened at that performance. At the end, you received a standing ovation. But then a man offered you karakia, and it was very moving. But in te reo, what was he sharing with you in that moment?
There was a friend of mine, actually, an acquaintance, Michael Gullery, was there, and he had a kaumātua with him who stood up and gave a mihi and spoke to. It's interesting because straight across from the gallery where we were performing, if you look out the main window, which looks out onto Kitchener Street and then directly across to Lawn Street, you can actually see where the apartment was, called Marae in the Sky. So the kaumātua, he gave significance to that connection to the Marae in the Sky, and Michael, and who was there, that lived there at the time. Yeah, it was great for him to be there, to be a part of it.
You're drawing on stories and experiences in your own lifetime and people, your audience's lifetime, but also these ancient spiritual narratives. How is it to embody these spiritual narratives as a performer?
It's. I've been thinking about that exact thing myself, actually. How does one, as an embodied practitioner, sort of invite those kinds of themes and ideas within? And what I find really interesting for myself, and probably the length of experience that I've had, is that I've kind of set myself free a bit in terms of holding on to reins or thinking that I should only be expressive in a certain type of way. If anything, I've let loose of the reins and just let myself be a part of all of those sensations of ideas, thinkings, kōrero that is passed down through generations, that I'm shared or being able to be or being privy to. I guess I'm able to just channel a little bit more in how I can bring that in and how I bring that in. Still yet to understand it myself in a way, yeah.
Well, culture is living, isn't it?
It is.
And the stories are always evolving.
That's it.
And devolving themselves, I guess. But you've been dreaming about bringing dance and movement onto the marae. Is there a history and a practice of dance on the marae? And what would it mean for you to take your work back to your whānau?
Yeah, that was interesting. I through the help of Creative New Zealand, I've been able to create a pilot and a sort of draft run on how that would look. I created a film during lockdown called Te Mata, and I was able to take that work back to my parents, ukaipo, and my mums, back to their whare. And it was an incredible experience, but basically, essentially what I'm doing, I'm just returning back to ancient storytelling, because dance was always prevalent. It was always there on the whare anyway. Through games, through play, through expression, through song, I've just sculptured another idea of that and brought it in as a performative aspect to share back with them. But when I say I take my work back to marae, there's so much that I get back from it as well, because there's exchange of conversation that needs to happen before going on to a whare marae anyway. You need to be able to be welcomed on. So there's lots of ceremonial practices that happened in around it. And it's something that I definitely want to create more of, yeah.
You've danced with Taane Mete, Black Grace, Okarika Dance Company, and continue to be innovating and collaborating. What is Māori dance?
Yeah, I get asked that quite a bit. And what is Māori dance? Me personally, I don't think I could actually land it to one place. But only one thing that I can talk to is that it's a starting point. It's an expressive point where we can lean into and draw from. What I find that I love about being Māori is that there is so much that we can draw from. I think what Māori dance is, if I was to try and sum it up, is very much a melting pot of kōrero, expression, wairua that can be utilised. So in my viewpoint, I can dip in and exchange and work with how I incorporate that into contemporary dance.
Yeah. Baskets of knowledge.
Baskets of knowledge, yes.
And
three baskets.
Held in 3 baskets, yes. Now you've launched Te Toi Haiora, the art of healing, and you've said you feel like you've arrived at your destined waka. What are your hopes for the company as you set sail?
Yeah, it's a really interesting thing, and I may have touched on it a little bit, where I feel like that My reins are a lot, the borders that I probably had learnt and built through technical ability as a dancer, I've kind of let down a little bit and become a lot freer, which means that I can be more expressive. And what that means is that I'm Te Toi Hauora, the art of healing, through the practices of body work and health practice and yoga. I'm connecting more to spiritual elements more so, I think, and incorporating that into the work as well. Because art making is very healing, no matter what it is. And this is, I find, my doorway in.
What is it to heal?
What is it to heal? I think just to bring a sense of interest and love to something. And it's not as if there's any trauma or anything around what I build, but more that there is a deep connection that people tend to feel when I create work. I don't know how to explain that, but that's how I feel. And when I make the work, that there's a deep... I'm using lots of different layers to intertwine and weave in that touch on many things. Aroha, love, is certainly a part of it. Spiritual connection, physical connection.
Is it possible to heal without some insight into Wārua?
Yes, absolutely. Through the watching perspective, yes, there is. It's very interesting. I started working with Taisha Tari, who's an incredible singer, because everything is energy, really. What we admit, what we think, what we even say, what we do, it's all energy. And what I find working with Taisha is that her vocal range is so vast. And there are high frequencies, there are many frequencies within her voice. And just those alone penetrate the body, the soul, one could say. And that in itself is quite a healing, refined vibration. Same with the violin. We've brought in the violin for this year's performance, and add that all together with the movement and the dance. All together, they're all like weaving their powers, one could say, to emit out.
Thank you so much, Taane, for joining me for this conversation. I feel like we've barely touched the surface. You've been listening to Cultured Conversations, and I'm your host, Kirsten Lacey. I've been joined by Taane Mete for this episode. You can dip into other episodes in the series at www.aucklandartgallery.com, iHeartRadio, Business Desk, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts.